Parents of Reddit, what is the most fucked up thing you are hiding from your children? My daughter was conceived at work, on airport property, in the back of a fucking Ford Focus, while we were waiting for a med flight to land. She knows nothing about this, but tells me she wants to be a pilot when she grows up. I'm the child of a parent that hid something horrible until I was 27. One day when my parents had a domestic dispute, my dad called me just to get back at my mom. He said, "Do you want to know something about your whole mother? She slept with over 30 guys during our first 2 years of marriage." I just sat down and started stuttering. He said, "You know how people have always said you look different than the rest of the kids?" I said, "Yeah. That's because I'm not your dad. Your mom slept with my best friend and you were conceived. Another thing, your brother, the one just younger than me, I'm the oldest, belongs to my brother." My mom just bawled in the background without denying it. I just laughed. And then I went into 2 years of therapy. That she can't have a relationship with her grandfather because he's a pedophile and I would never trust him. The rest of my family maintains a relationship with him and leans on me hard to open up communication because family comes first. They are absolutely right. My family does come first, which is why my daughter won't ever have to have a relationship with him. Edit. He has molested/raped multiple members of my family and I only found out when I was pregnant with my daughter. Without going into too much detail, he also has a mental illness and I've been told that I need to let him have a relationship with my daughter because he's sick and couldn't help it. It was a secret until recently my mom told me. When she and my dad got divorced, things were very messy and my dad would do shitty things to dodge paying for my care. He ended up owing my mom a couple $1,000 and my mom was ready to sue. But instead of getting the lawyers involved, and because she knew my dad was not a healthy person to be in my life, she offered him a deal: keep the money, but relinquish custody officially. I'd still get to see him if and when I wanted, but he would give up all legal rights as a guardian. Because he hated paying my mom that much, he took to K over me. Not a life-changing, earth-shattering secret, it's just revealing to know my dad values money more than me. Before anybody casts judgment on my mom, my dad was, and probably is, a piece of human garbage who abused me and allowed me to be abused a few years after this, so I'm 1000% fine with my mom's decision. She's my favorite person in the world, and every single day I'm so lucky to have her in my life. Adoptive parent of 3 kids, 2 of which are biological siblings and cousins. Found out a year after the adoption that the biological parents were half siblings who shared the same dad. The BO parents found out after they had the first child and proceeded to have another. The kids are now 16 and 13 respectively and have zero clue that they are a product of incest. Unfortunately, their biological grandpa just passed away, so there very well could be a big reveal coming in the near future. My father found out when he was in his 40s that his father was not his biological father. His mother, my grandmother, literally cheated on her husband with the milkman. 3. My dad cheated on my mother while she was going through cancer treatments. My mother asked for a divorce. He said, "Go and take the kids." Every Valentine's Day I would receive flowers from my dad and get so happy. My mom would smile and nod and get excited with me. I would call him and thank him. He never sent me flowers. It was my mom all the years. Same thing with birthday cards and Christmas gifts from him. They were never from him. My mom just put his name on them in similar handwriting. Went as far as writing return addresses on mail too. My mom was a superhero of a single parent. I was the kid in the scenario. When I was like 12, my dad died of leukemia. He was never around much, so I didn't see him often, but that was never the secret. I actually remember the day he took off and left us. Woke up one morning and there was a pile of new toys on the living room floor with a note for mom. Anyway, he started coming around when he received the prognosis. We developed something resembling a positive relationship before he died. When he passed, it absolutely destroyed me. I still remember the funeral. I had to be dragged kicking and screaming out of the car because I didn't want to see it. In his will he left me his car, a Camaro, that I was supposed to get when I turned 16. His parents fought tooth and nail to keep it from me. They were really shitty people. His entire side of the family was, and we eventually just told them to fuck off and keep the damn thing. Fast forward about 15 years. I find out the guy that died was not actually my dad. He was my brother's dad. My real, biological dad has been living in the next town over 20 minutes from my house my entire life. My entire family knew about it, except for me. It was why my grandparents fought to keep the car. They knew I was not his son. I still don't know if he knew or not, but I assume so. My maternal grandmother has met him several times in my life. My mom said she never thought it was anything worth digging up. Said she intended for me to never find out. I've still never spoken to him. I know a name and an approximation of where he lives, as of about 10 years ago. Beyond that, I know jack about the guy. Grandma said if I ever want to meet him, she would help me contact him. Dunno if I ever will. Edit 1. After laying all this out and thinking more about it, there's no possible way the dead dad did not know I was not his kid. Edit 2. For everyone asking me about the lady asking if I'm her husband. No, I'm not married. Posting here so when my kids are old enough to snoop they get a split second of excited expectation before they are greeted by my saying I do really enjoy having sex with their mother. Username checks out. Parenting game 10/10. You motherfucker. My mom kept it a secret that the woman I was named after, her mom, my grandma, was stabbed to death by my uncle when my mom was 18. I always suspected my grandma had a tragic death because of how my mom would avoid talking about it, but I didn't know it was that tragic. I'm hiding out of things. I used to be a stripper for 10 years, growing up in an abusive house. I partied hard and used to be part of New York City and Montreal club scene. That I was kidnapped and taken to another country. There's a lot of things. Now I'm just a boring accountant mom to everyone. No one has any clue what I've been through. Crazy what your kids don't know about you. I'm the child. I recently found out about the murder-suicide attempt my great-grandmother tried to commit on her family. Her daughter, my grandmother, survived the attack and some years later moved to Canada as a teen and eventually got married and had my dad. Pretty haunting. That we weren't actually visiting daddy at his work. It's a secure psychiatric ward where he's been since she was 3 months old. I had a schizophrenic friend that was hospitalized for many years. I'd go visit him with his mom, and it was very upsetting to see. He was either completely silent, wolfing down food, or accusing us of not being the real us, saying that if he called where we worked, the real us would still be there, an hour away. My son was a product of rape. He just thinks I had really low standards in men at one point. Please God tell me you don't have the share custody with the father. Nope. He signed over his rights when my son was a toddler, but I allow his mother to be a part of my son's life. She is unaware of the rape as well. The BO dad died late last year and I have debated telling her out of anger of hearing constantly how great of a person he was for the last 14 years and then in death. That we don't go to bed the same time as they do. That's me every night at bedtime. Daughter, books. Me, no more books. Time for night night. Daughter, books. Me, no more books. Time for night night. Daughter, mama. Me, mama went night night. Time for night night. Daughter, daddy. Me, yes, I'm going night night too. It's 6:45, of course I'm not going night night. My parents told me my sister is adopted. They didn't tell her. She's 34. BTW help, what do I do? Buy the whole family DNA test kits for Christmas and watch the world burn. Savage. But actually intrigued on how that will go. I'm the child, 48F, but my father told me my mother was dead all throughout my childhood and everyone in the family, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, stepmother, supported the lie. Not because my mother was on drugs or abusive, or a criminal, or even a bad person. Just because they had a huge argument one night and she went to stay with a friend without me, so he decided she would never be allowed to be in my life again. Ever. He wrote her off. On my 18th birthday, she called our house and asked to speak with me. So, I found out the truth. I'm working out how to explain that the chicken we eat is the same as the kind of chickens that live on a farm.